everybody, I'm Quinn.
And I'm Sean, and this is the Almost Friday show for September 1st, 2011.
Starting it off and off the press, it looks like George Lucas has decided to piss off more fans. Which isn't really surprising.
I have no comment anymore. That just sums it up. I mean, what are you thinking?
Star Wars is coming out on Blu-ray. He's making some more changes. We'll tell you what's happening in Off the Press.
Anyway, and then also coming up in Tech Insight, Sony news. Lots of Sony news.
And some Samsung.
And some, tablets. Holy crap.
Some Toshiba.
But tablets! My God, we thought it was an explosion months ago. It's huge now.
Seems like everyone cares about tablets, even though the market isn't doing very well.
Pretty well.
And then finally, behind the lens this week, more announcements. Not from Sony. From Panasonic, Fuji, and Samsung. Announcing some more stuff.
More cameras that are useless?
Well, not completely.
Okay. That's not so bad then.
But without further ado, it's time to go to Off the Press.
Hi everyone, welcome to Off the Press for this week. We have some disturbing news.
Kind of big news. So when it was announced about a year ago, we were all super excited that Star Wars was coming out on Blu-ray on September 16th of this year. Yay! Bad news. George Lucas has done his thing and is editing everything. Okay, not everything.
No, but
there are one good and like 4 bad. So we're gonna start with the good news.
Yeah.
So they're replacing the puppet Yoda from Phantom Menace with a CGI Yoda, which people are gonna get really upset. But the second and third movies were made with CGI Yodas, and to be honest, that first Yoda looks really scary.
But you know what? The thing was, it added to, the movie's status. I mean, I'm going to use the word nostalgia. As a person who likes the nostalgia of these movies.
We watched Star Wars in the 90s when it was re-released.
Exactly. I'm going to find a time machine so I can go back and get my VHSs again. Some of you youngins may not remember that if you're watching. Anyway, I liked Puppet Yoda.
Yeah.
One, because I knew who did the voice. It was Frank Oz, of course,
Puppet
all
Yoda
fame.
looks... Okay, the thing is, with Phantom Menace, Puppet Yoda stood out because a lot of things were CGI, super glossy, super high def and whatever, and Puppet Yoda just... Dude, that's totally a puppet. But in the old movies, everything looks old, and it fit with the...
Yeah.
It fits with the look of the older movies.
That's true, because everything else was still hand done. Everything was still modeled properly.
Exactly.
It wasn't just a single model then digitized.
Yeah, it wasn't super shiny, super new.
Yeah, which screwed up continuity in my mind. I don't give a damn.
Minor details.
None of them count. Anyway, so they're changing Yoda into 3D.
Yep.
Whatever, I can get over it.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I will get over it because I'm not even going to buy this.
Yeah, that's the good / neutral news. In the
bad,
so there's been a lot of weird overdubbing that's allegedly confirmed.
Do you remember this line? No. Yeah.
Do not want.
Yeah, that's happening
Again.
when Vader tosses the Emperor over the side in the Return of the Jedi. Why?
Why? That's just unnecessary dialogue.
It's not even. It's not even that it's unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
It's just he was dying,
Yes.
stoic, and a badass. Vader was a total badass. He wasn't some emo kid.
I understand that he yells no when, at the end of the third movie, because he's still young, still an emo kid, basically.
Well,
but he grows up to be a badass.
And that's where it ends.
Yes.
He has no heart. That's why it was a good scene when he threw the Emperor over.
Yeah.
There's no need for any other feeling.
There's no need for dialogue. It's all done in the motions, it's like... He's dead. It's like, oh my god, Vader has a heart.
Yeah.
So, more sort of upsetting, there's been some changes of some yelling when they scare off the sand
people.
people.
They're changing a lot, and it's bugging me.
They're making the Ewoks blink, and they're replacing Jabba's door with some fake CGI monstrosity.
Why? That door was awesome. It was a gigantic metal door.
Yeah.
It worked. As for the Ewoks, didn't they always blink?
I don't think so. I think it's because they're latex masks.
I'm pretty sure they were able to blink.
They blink.
They blank, as I said earlier. I'm pretty sure they blank.
You know what? I'm gonna file the blinking Ewoks under neutral.
Yeah.
Meh.
I didn't like the Ewoks anyway.
They're cute. The galaxy was saved by fuzzy little 3.5 feet tall teddy bears.
I don't know about you, but if I was the Empire, I would be very pissed.
Zub-dub? Subwum? Wubsum? That Ewok song.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Either way.
So, moving right along to something that will fill some people with about as much rage as Sean was filled just now. The DC relaunch kicked off this week with Justice League #1, which apparently sold amazingly well.
Yeah, so we were discussing this, of course, earlier when we were trying to put all this together. And I've never followed DC.
No.
I mean, I know Batman, but that's because
Yeah.
I grew up with Batman, the animated series. That's about as much as I liked of DC. I never liked Green Lantern. I tried reading it. I never liked Superman because I thought he was a prick.
The only DC I read before now was a Flash. No reason. If there is a #1 issue on the shelf, I'm like, Flash. I'm not really reading DC. I'll pick this up, see how I like it. It's actually really good. So I guess that's what they're aiming for with this whole relaunch thing. They're going to be releasing 52 #1 titles in the month of September. So every Wednesday in the month of September, they're releasing a whole metric shit ton of issue 1s.
See,
Which in theory brings in new readers, which works on me because I'm generally a Marvel reader. And with this #1, I'm like, sure, why not? I'll pick up Justice League 1, and maybe I'll pick up an Aquaman. Maybe he'll be cool again or something.
I mean, I'm not a mainstream comic reader.
Yeah.
You know, I like to find that really weird underground stuff that most of you probably wouldn't have heard of.
It's about a talking robot. You probably never heard of it.
Yeah. I like to find that stuff because I find it new, refreshing.
Yeah.
However, I will probably be picking up Batman as a definite.
Yeah.
As
There's
#1.
2 or 3 different Bat titles coming out.
Well, because the thing is, like, I've read the other ones through, just scattered and all of that. Like, I've read also the trade paperbacks, A Serious House on Serious Earth.
Yeah, like all the
that sort of stuff.
top-notch stuff.
Yeah, and I like those, but at the same time, I'm interested to see what they're going to do with this.
Yeah, like I'm sort of really interested in just picking up random #1 titles and seeing if they catch my eye.
Yeah.
If I don't like them after 6 issues, I'm not gonna be too upset, and I'm just gonna drop them because I didn't have to read 250 back issues just to know what's going on.
Yeah, and that was the problem.
Or Wikipedia, which kind of ruins the fun. But
although, you know what though, I will admit I probably could have gotten into like Superman or Batman.
Yeah.
Because it's the same shit, same stuff all over again.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's Joker, oh, it's Riddler, or it's
they
Penguin,
really
and then it's Lex Luthor.
Yeah. Oh no. Well, they really should have done what Marvel does with like the issue 508.1, because .1 means the beginning of an arc. It's a good place to start.
Yeah. And I mean that's how I'm going to do a lot of comics actually.
Or I'm just looking. I open up the front cover and it says like Attack of the Kings, Part 3 of 4. I'm like, okay, I'll wait for the next arc to start, or I'll pick this up in trade and then pick up the next issue as I go. But #1 works for most people. It seems to be working really well with Justice League #1, so it's interesting to see the DC sales figures this month.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting, so keep an eye out.
And moving on in new releases.
One I really want to see, just because it's some of those new, we finally found the film
Found
footage horror. So it's Apollo 18, the last mission to the moon for some reason.
It
And
looks
now we
legitimately
know.
scary.
I think it's Russian zombies. Sorry if I spoiled it. I think it's Russian zombies.
Coming up, we have a B movie, Shark Night, also in 3D.
Which is just, in my opinion, Lake Placid, minus the crocodile, plus a shark.
Lake Placid plus Piranha 3D.
Ugh. God. Get on that one, though.
Oh, get on it, yeah. Sci-fi, it's all yours.
Yeah.
Siffy.
And then, of course, The Debt, which
looks really cool.
I actually don't know what
Like
this
a
one's about.
spy adventure action. I saw the trailer once and it looked really cool. It's like takes place during the Cold War and also in the present day.
Okay.
So kind of a flashback movie type thing.
So it's going to be kind of
I'm
like
not
Spy
too sure.
Game, I wonder then.
It looks really cool.
Yeah.
Go watch the trailer right now. I'm selling it horribly. I'm sorry.
I'm going to have to watch it.
And in DVDs and Blu-rays this week.
Oh boy.
Ready?
Vampire Diaries Season 2.
Let's get VD. No?
No.
Right. And we have a remake of La Femme Nikita. It's called Nikita, Season 1.
And in games, to wrap it all off,
Yep.
guess what we get? Of course, all you guys out there, all you bros, Madden 2012.
There's also a special edition of this game for the PS3 and the 360. It's like $90. It comes with like an autographed thing of some guy.
Either way,
I read
think...
the back of the box, and the only word I really understood is Fantasy League and autographed.
You're not going to understand this, Sam, because you're not a bro, but this is going to be like totally bro-siding Lord of the Broshin. Good. Like, this is going to be awesome.
All right, Anthony.
Angelina Brody!
You stole my joke, jerk. And with that, we're wrapping up Off the Press.
Hey everybody, welcome to Tech Insight. Scott's off at a cottage and ditched us, and he's gonna go join him tomorrow. He decided to hang around and do the podcast. He really just couldn't get off work. That's really the issue here.
Look, I'd still probably... I wouldn't be. I would still want to try and be here.
Anyway,
Anyway.
what's important is that it's IFA, or IFA, this
Yeah.
week in Berlin, which is another large tech show.
Actually pretty big from what I understood.
Yeah. So a bunch of new announcements. We're going to start off with some Sony news, and the first thing is Sony has finally decided to jump into the tablet market with 2 offerings. Both of them very different from what we're used to typically seeing.
Yeah, and you know what? We'll get into them, but they seem to... They catch the eye. There's something interesting, and they do pique interest very well.
So the first one we're going to talk about is the Tablet S. And what's neat about this one is its shape, and it's kind of a wedge.
Yeah, it looks... I don't... Like, when I first saw it, I thought, like, maybe it was a slide-out keyboard sort of idea, some sort of contraption there. But no, it's just such a weird, wedgy...
And what's interesting is that you look at it and you go, that's not what a tablet should be. A tablet should be nice and thin. But then when you actually start to think about the design, it starts to make sense. And so what they were going for was the idea of a folded newspaper. Because when you're holding a newspaper with one hand, you fold it over and you've got a larger grip section to actually hold your newspaper. So the wedge is designed so that when you are holding it in one hand, whether it's left hand or right hand, you've got something a little bit thicker to hold on to, and then it tapers off. What's also neat about it is that the sides actually kind of indent in. So they'll go like this on the sides. And that's handy because when you're holding it like a tablet, you've actually got some place to kind of put your hands.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a neat design, and I think it's good. Like I think it could be really comfortable to hold and use on a daily basis.
I would probably agree if you're just doing it one-handed, but the other thing that is kind of interesting about it is because it's a wedge shape, you can put it on your table, and it's lifted, of course, a little bit.
Yes.
Easier reading, easier typing,
And designed to reduce glare from overhead lights.
which is really good. I like that. I don't know how it's going to work. I mean, you're going to have to actually, when it comes this way, like, you're going to have to try it out because it's such an interesting design. You may not know what it is when you first look at it. So I think it could be neat.
So we're running a 9-inch screen, or close to 9-inch screen on it, I believe. And it is running Android.
Okay.
So they've jumped on that market, but they've done some of their own UI stuff to it. Like Motorola likes to do. But what's interesting about this guy is that it's certified with all of Sony's current technology. So the PlayStation, their televisions, their home theater systems. So you can use it as a remote for all of those technologies. Actually, I don't think it works with the PlayStation because the PlayStation doesn't have an IR port. But maybe it does. Maybe there'll be an update for it.
I was going to say, they'll probably find some way of doing it.
But it's PlayStation certified, which means that you can use the downloadable games that you can get for your PlayStation 3 for the PS1 and stuff. So it comes with Crash Bandicoot and then some sort of pinball game to show you that it's able to play some games out of the box, which is kind of neat.
Final Fantasy VII on the old touch touch screen could be kind of cool.
Yeah, so it's got a micro SD or a SD card slot as well as a micro USB port on it.
Okay, cool.
And you've got your buttons for volume and stuff like that, and it's plastic, so it's fairly light. Although because it's plastic, it's not quite as robust as say an iPad or something like that.
Yeah, you're gonna probably feel that it's gonna be that. The thing with plastic, like to your point, the iPad has it down, or I'll say any tablet that sits there and says we're gonna use metal has it down because it just feels more robust in your hands. Like plastic things feel like toys, and you always wonder if you're gonna break it. So I think that's gonna be kind of off-putting to people. Especially because, once again, the shape, because it's so unusual, it might be a little off-putting. But I would say, just like I think both of us could probably admit, I'd like to give it a try.
Absolutely. So it's going to be launching in a 16 and 32 gigabyte options at $500 and $600 respectively. And it's supposed to be shipping in a few weeks.
Okay.
So But they didn't do just that. They decided to also come out with the S2, which is an entirely different type of device.
Yeah, and so it's kind of in the same vein of the whole we want a multi-screen thing. And so, I mean, we did this a while back with, of course, the Libretto when it came out, because they did the dual screen contraption. Kind of cool. Used Windows 7, so it's eh. The hardware, like if I could load Android on that thing, that hard drive, that hardware would fly.
So this is a clamshell style, and if you're familiar with a Nintendo 3DS or a DS or something like that, you're going to be used to the shape and size, although the screens are obviously much larger. So 2 independent touch screens running Android. A lot of the same specs of what's in the S, it's just a different format. You still got micro SD port, or micro USB port, and
SD slot.
SD slot and all that kind of stuff.
Does it still have the integration with the PlayStation and the TVs? Or is that...
Probably, but I'm going to be honest, I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't read that far enough.
Yeah.
It does have PlayStation certification and
Okay.
remote control app. So yes, it does.
Awesome.
It does have those functionality. So I mean, if you're looking for something that's really small, this is a good option.
Like, this is something that you just go pocket.
Yeah.
It's like, it folds into about the size of a cell phone, a large cell phone at that, but you can still jam this in your pocket.
I'd really say it's like it's the size of a glasses case. If you've got glasses, and if you've ever seen those sort of oval glasses case, that's what this looks like.
Yeah.
And basically its size as well.
Okay.
They also announced a new e-reader, which, isn't all that special, except that this one is still e-ink, but it's running off of Android in the background. And it's a 6-inch screen, and it's the lightest e-reader, apparently, in the world with multi-touch.
Interesting.
So if you are still an e-reader person, the new e-reader looks pretty nice.
It should be faster at this point too, as well. So how there's always that 1 second delay with changing pages.
Yep.
I think that was cut down by, of course, milliseconds, but who cares? It's faster.
And it's supposed to be coming out about $150, so not too expensive
not
if you
bad.
want to get into it. Obviously, with the ink, it's all black and white, but that is sort of the benefit, is that it's high contrast, and you don't always need to be dealing with glare and things
I was
like
going to say, and you don't have that backlight thing, so you can't go into certain things. I was going to say with glare. So it's really not that bad. The other thing, though, is it's Wi-Fi enabled, so that they're touting it that you can go into a public library, and if that library has the ebooks on Wi-Fi, you can actually rent them from them and just have them go beamed right in. So it's kind of a neat concept. So I'd like to. I'm fine using the Amazon Kindle app.
Absolutely.
But you know what? I know my parents have been looking to get into e-readers, and same my grandparents. That will probably be one that I want them to try, just because this could get.
And speaking of e-readers on tablets, both the tablets are using Sony Bravia's True Black technology, which we've seen on their cameras and is very impressive LCD technology, or OLED. I'm not even remember now which one, but
I think it's AMOLED,
really, really crisp graphics with nice contrast.
Huh.
So I think it should look nice.
Cool.
So moving on to some Samsung news. if you like Apple computers but you don't like Apple, Samsung is filling that gap with their new 7 series.
Or if you like Apple computers but you don't like the price.
Yes.
That's the other thing.
Yes. So the Samsung 7 series is a really nice set of new laptops. They're thin, they're all aluminum, they're kind of that brushed look. They're gorgeous.
They are gorgeous. They look really
I think
nice.
if I were to have to go out and buy a laptop right now, this would be a heavy contender for me.
I think so too. I unfortunately am kicking myself because of the laptop that I bought. Once again, picked it out of necessity, not so much actual function or wanting of. I like this laptop. I'm into actual computer repairs and whatnot, and just sales. This thing is absolutely nuts. You're looking at 2.2 i7 Sandy Bridge processor from Intel. Blazing fast. 8 gigs of memory.
Yeah, 8 gigs of RAM. You're getting the 6750 graphics, which is really nice, and a 750 gig hard drive, a 7200 RPM hard drive as well, which is nice.
There you go.
And what's really awesome is if you fully load this guy, you're looking at $1,300.
Really?
Which is, around the price of a MacBook.
I was going to say, so you're looking at a better computer, better spec computer, for about the same money, which is actually really good. That's the thing with PC and Mac users. Mac users look at it as a premium for a very robust device.
Yeah.
PC users look at it as, I want to spend a lot of money, I want to get a lot for it.
Yeah.
So-
So you're looking at 15 and 14-inch versions of the screen with a matte display, which is really
I
nice.
like
We do
that.
too many glossy these days, and laptops really benefit from matte displays.
Yeah, they do.
USB 3.0, all that fun stuff. So, I mean, if you're looking for a classy laptop that isn't Apple,
Yeah.
these Samsung 7 series look really nice.
And it's got, of course, HDMI as a standard. The thing you're actually going to start seeing, though, is HDMI is probably going to start moving into DisplayPort. Everyone's starting to switch onto that bandwagon. But, continuing on with Samsung's laptops.
They've decided to get a little bit crazy with a limited edition of their 9 series. And what's special about it, Sean?
They've hand-embedded crystals onto the top
Now, I gotta admit,
bezel.
it does look kind of cool. I mean, it's girly, but it does look kind of cool.
Yeah,
I'm
you
sure
know-
it's stupid expensive for no good reason,
Yeah.
but it does look kind of cool.
It does look kind of cool. It's one of those, of course, limited edition gimmicky things. It's, I think, brushed copper look or brushed bronze look. It looks pretty. Once again, you can pull this thing out somewhere and you catch eyes, if not just for the bloody crystals. Even though they're, but oh, sorry, it's called luxury rose gold according to the article, and it comes
And
also
midnight
in
blue.
moonlight blue, which I think would be nice.
Yes, Moonlight Blue.
Yeah, that would probably
so
look nice.
so no pricing yet, although I'm sure it'll be stupid.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably looking if the other one was about $1,300, you're probably looking at $15 to $2,000 for the crystal alone. So yeah, nothing much for actual function. It's going to be a standard Series 9 laptop, just more flash.
So moving back to tablets for a little moment here, Samsung has announced the Galaxy Tab 7.7, which is a 7-inch tablet.
Mm-hmm.
It's running a 1.4 gigahertz dual-core CPU. It's running Android 3.2 Honeycomb with their widget UI or whatever the hell that TouchWix,
Yeah, TouchWix.
which is their own skin on top of it. It's looking pretty impressive.
It is.
And if you're looking for a smaller form factor tablet, this is definitely the one to look at.
Yeah, I mean the screen is looking pretty crisp.
Yep,
Like-
it's 1280 by 800.
Ooh.
So high resolution, 7.7 inch screen, so a little bit bigger than 7.
So she's got wireless and it seems micro SD slot, which is always fun. That's the one thing I don't like about like the touchpad. No expandable memory. But just the same.
Pretty lightweight at 0.74 pounds.
Ooh, ain't bad.
There's 16 to 64 gigabytes of internal space, micro SD card slot,
10-hour battery.
10-hour battery, 802.11n, Bluetooth 3, and you've got 3 megapixel and 2 megapixel cameras on it. So they didn't go crazy on the cameras, but I think they're realizing that most people don't take pictures with their tablets.
Probably.
And if they do, it's probably just like, oh, this was something I liked at the store. Okay.
Yeah. And I think
it's
what
not
they're
going
also
up
doing,
on their Flickr account.
The thing that they're doing though is they've made a very nice contender, I'd say, for even the iPad.
For sure.
And even for the others, because no one else has got the dual cameras right now, I don't think. And at the same time, they're still kind of chunky.
The Sony S, I believe, is 8 megapixel camera on the back,
Okay.
and then something on the front.
Okay, so Sony's got it. But Samsung getting into the game, getting further into the game, because the Tab always looked nice.
Yeah,
The
and it was like the
phone looked
second
nice.
most popular tablet too,
Yeah.
in comparison to the iPad. So
And now it's finally starting
it's
to
gonna
kick
help.
ass.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they've decided to kind of fill a slightly odder market, which is I'd like my smartphone to be bigger, but I don't want a tablet. Which was originally only filled by the Dell Streak, which was kind of a crappy device.
Yeah, that would wait.
Yeah, so Samsung's
That's
decided to now announce the Galaxy Note with a 5.3-inch Super AMOLED display. What's interesting about this one is that it comes with a stylus
Okay.
that can tuck into the device itself.
Okay.
So it's designed to be a note-taking device of sorts, where you can draw on it and things like that.
So what
Which
they're
I guess
probably-
kind of makes sense, the slightly bigger real estate of the screen.
I was gonna say what they're probably doing is going for the people who've got like the moleskin little notebook.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean they're trying to get to that crowd. I think that's a good place to go because they kind of seem to have this done right. I mean, okay, wait, question: does it act like a phone?
Yes.
Okay, now we have a little bit of an issue. If you kind of kept it as a tablet, I see why using it as a phone.
Well, I
would
mean,
be
you got to
good,
keep
but-
in mind though that the tablet, Samsung's tablet is almost identical to their phones.
It is.
It's not like Motorola where the Honeycomb has a little bit more of a difference.
Yeah, but I'm thinking pocket real estate.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
It
it's
is. It is kind of
Yeah.
big.
it's a little big. I mean,
It's
I don't
pretty
wanna...
specced out though. At the 5.3 inches, it is a 1280 by 800 display. So
crap.
same resolution as the 7.7 inch on a smaller screen, which means that it's going to be sharper.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is nice. And you're also looking at 8 megapixel camera on the back, 2 megapixel on the front.
1.4 gigahertz
it's-
processor, dual
It's
core.
running Gingerbread right now.
Eh.
And probably going to get updates down the road.
Probably.
So, it's a pretty cool option. If you're looking for something a bit bigger, which I think there's a market for it. I think it's small, but there's a market.
It's definitely a niche market, but I think people are going to buy it.
Yeah,
I mean, to your point, being able to have
the thing is, the Dell. We like to make a joke that it was a dinner plate because it was really big and it was kind of heavy for its size. And Samsung does have the ability to make a lot of stuff lighter.
That is true. Yeah, that is very true.
Moving on with some more announcements, Lenovo also decided to join the game with their new IdeaPad.
Now, they have been in the tablet game for quite some time.
But no one's really cared.
No one's cared. Because, once again, Lenovo, if you ask most people, or if you try and offer them like a Lenovo product, most people go, who's that?
Because they don't realize that it's
IBM.
IBM.
Yeah.
But, and Lenovo's mostly been doing Windows tablets, which really aren't a great idea.
That is true. They're not that great.
So Lenovo's decided to jump into Android, but they've done it a little bit differently. They're going for cheap. I think that they saw that HP was doing really awesome with their $99 fire sale.
Yeah.
And they've created the IdeaPad A1, which is going to be a $200 tablet.
Oh, okay.
Now, it is running Gingerbread, and we're not really sure if it'll ever get Honeycomb.
Yeah.
But for $200, you do get, I believe, a 7-inch screen on this guy.
Ah.
It's a A8 processor, and the resolution's 1024 by 600. So I mean, it's not a powerhouse by any means, but it's not a crappy tablet for $200.
Well, the A8 is the same processor that I believe was in the iPad.
Yes.
So I mean, you are looking at a very comparable device. Not to mention, it is going to be dual core.
Yes.
So you are looking at a comparable device to a lot of the other ones out there.
Now, you can't get it with 3G. It's just Wi-Fi only. But again, I mean, at that price, you kind of expect it.
Yeah.
But there is GPS in there, so you could theoretically use it as a GPS unit if you wanted to.
Okay, that's not so bad.
And at a 7-inch display, it's really not that weird to use as a GPS unit.
As you put it right in the car.
So it's going to come in an 8 gig, a 16 gig, and a 32 gig. The 8 gig being the one that's $200, although apparently the US isn't going to see the 8 gig and it's just going to go to 16, which really seems kind of stupid because there is a micro SD card slot which people would just use on the 8 gig.
But the thing is, though, for the most part, we've lost a lot of those 8 gig products. Mostly everything's gone towards
I don't know,
16.
but the thing is for this, though, is it's the price point, and $250 is not as appealing as $200.
I guess that's true.
And if you're going to buy a cheap tablet, you want a cheap tablet.
Yeah.
And you'll be like, no, 8 gigs is fine because I'll just buy a memory card when I need it.
Yeah. And even then, what are you going to store on it?
So furthering on, Lenovo has also decided to create some new laptops to compete with the MacBooks.
Yeah, they decided to create their U300.
Which is what everyone seems to be doing, and fair enough. Apple's taking a lot of share of university students and things like that. So.
But you know what it is, though? It's because people are finally starting to catch on to the idea that a laptop can be quite pretty. Like, just in the way it looks. I mean, you can get the big, chunky, businessy, cruddy types. I mean, not to pick on Lenovo, but if you look at a ThinkPad, I mean, that's still just a black brick. But, I mean, it takes a beating. But finally, everyone's getting the idea, like Apple did, that the technology can be quite beautiful. And not just have looks, but also function. For instance, the U300 series, it's going to be coming in multicolors, by the way. The one that I like, of course, catching my eye is the burnt orange
It
color.
is quite nice.
Ooh, does that ever look nice. But the specs are what I really like. So you're looking at a 256 gig SSD drive. I believe it's the Intel SSD, so you
Which
are
they're
looking...
claiming a 10-second boot time on.
Yes, and rightly so. Because this SSD, if I had the specs right, well, it's blazing fast. Like, if you got this on your computer, you're spending $500 right there. 4 gigs of memory. Doesn't say much about expandability when I was checking out their site. I imagine it could probably go up to 8. Most people aren't limiting themselves to 4 anymore. And then an i7 processor once again, but it was
1.8 gigahertz, which is kind of an interesting. I wouldn't expect i7 even go that low.
Well, yeah, it's still using a Sandy Bridge core, but I agree with Quinn. It's kind of weird that they're going with 1.8, but then again, lower gigahertz, a little less power.
Now, one of the interesting things they're boasting is that it will recharge 50% of its battery in half an hour.
Yes, I'm a little dubious of this technology, but I like it. It's got an 8-hour battery at that. So you're looking at all-day usage here.
And last little bit of IFA news is Toshiba has decided to announce the AT200, which is they're finally jumping into Android as well and offering this tablet, which is going to be 1.2 gigahertz. It's a 10-inch display.
Yeah, 10-inch.
10-inch display.
The thing that's kind of odd about it is it's a landscape tablet. It's meant to be held this way, not portrait.
Yes.
So people are kind of starting to get into the idea once again, just what I'm hearing when I'm dealing with customers. They want a tablet that has a great wide screen on it. Because unfortunately they're still thinking like they're using a PC and they want to have multiple windows up. Can't do that.
It seems to have a nice aluminum back, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah, actually it's very sleek.
And they're also boasting that it's the lightest, although it was tethered down at IFA, so no one could really
pick it up.
Yeah.
But you know what, though? It does look pretty slim and sleek.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty cool looking, and like you said, it's landscape orientation because of the placement of the camera for conference calling, which is supposed to be what these are used for, and they almost never are.
Yeah.
But,
I've not met a person yet who said
that's what
yes,
they're
I'm
going
for.
So, not really related to IFA, but pretty cool news nonetheless, is Wacom has decided to create a new product, which is their own stab at the E-Pen market. So,
okay, what is the E-Pen? Because
Yeah, so the popular option for E-Pens has been a company called LiveScribe, which has a pen that as you write on their special paper, it will track everything that you write down.
Okay.
It has some functionality where you can draw like a calculator and do calculations, and it will tell you answers and things like that. So it stores all the information that you write, as well as also giving you a little bit of functionality backwards.
I was going to say Logitech did this then, like years ago for
Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of people that have done this kind of thing.
Yeah,
But the biggest drawback to a lot of those systems is that you have to use their paper.
Yeah.
So you have to go out and buy their notebooks in whatever sizes you want, and you have to keep, LiveScribe will only allow you to have like 3 journals at a time and stuff like that. So you kind of have to manage it. Wacom's gone the other way around and said, use whatever paper you want. It does have a limitation. You can't go bigger than 8.5 by 11 because of the space it'll record in.
That's fine.
But what it has is this little cartridge that sits on the top of the paper, and you start drawing about 2 centimeters down from it, but then it will record everything you've done for 2 centimeters in. But what's important about this one in comparison to all the other models is that Wacom, being the company that does tablets, Cintiq, and stuff like that, and is known for their pressure sensitivity. So you're drawing with a real pen with real ink, but it's recording the pressure that you're applying to the pen, and it's saving all of that information back onto the little memory card within the pen.
So now my school time doodles are going to be actually what I want them to be?
Well, what's really cool is that you can take this stuff and using the software that they give you, create Photoshop or vector files.
Oh, okay.
And so if you've made a sketch, you can instantly turn it into a vector, which then allows you to scale it up to various sizes, tweak all of your lines in post. But going one step further, they've actually put a button on the little cartridge that sees everything, and when you click the button, it creates a new layer.
Oh, neat.
So if you do your drawing of your character, and then you're going to do a shading layer, you can click that button and then do your shading layer and click that button again and do your fine detail layer, and it's going to keep all that information stored so that when you go back to the computer, you can take all the stuff that you drew with your hands, which is arguably usually better than what you can draw on your computer.
Yep.
And then it gets digitized and layered the way you'd want it to. So, I mean, for artists or, graphic designers or anyone that really draws as part of their business,
I was going to say, that's
this
kind
looks
of a boon.
amazing.
Yeah, that's a really big boon for them.
Most of the E-Pens go for somewhere between $100 to $200, and Wacom's coming in at $200, so it's also not overly expensive.
I was going to say, they're trying to be competitive, so that's kind of good.
They give you a little case that holds the receiver, the pen, you get the USB cable, and it comes with 4 extra ink cartridges.
Cool.
So you do have to replace your ink, but, that's what you expect with pens.
I was going to say, what are you going to do?
And Wacom will definitely sell you more ink for it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, this is pretty cool. I don't even draw, but,
that's neat.
as a filmmaker, I think of the application of being able to do storyboards.
I was going to say, I was thinking of thumbnailing and all
storyboards.
that for movies and whatever. That's actually really cool.
So I think this is a really awesome product. I think it's well priced, and I think for artists and designers, it's going to be something to look at for sure.
I might actually look into that myself.
So in some non-product news, open up wrong tabs here. A little bit of news about the AT and T-Mobile merger, as it's been dubbed, just dropping the second T.
It just ain't happening.
Well, it's not that it isn't happening, but the government has decided to step in and file to block the merger because they feel that it's really going to make competition
hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because T-Mobile was the sort of little brand to AT&T that offered cheaper price points and alternative options to AT&T. And the government kind of feels like, well, if you go and take T-Mobile away, then you really don't give people a whole lot of other options. They've got to go to Verizon, or they've got to go to Sprint, and both of those guys are bigger guys that don't offer some of the cheaper services.
You listening, Rogers and Bell?
So it's kind of interesting to see that the United States government has decided, yeah, this is a bit sketchy. Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to happen or not happen. It just means that there's more that they're going to have to work around if they want it to happen.
People are looking into it, and I think what it is they're starting to... It's that whole idea, once again, of the monopoly clauses that says, you can't own everybody and you can't own everything and become a conglomerate to have a monopoly. Unfortunately, our country hasn't figured that out yet. Hopefully they do. But really, when I was going through this, I kind of agree with what they're saying. They should say, slow down, and, or if you buy them, keep their products, keep their pricing. Yeah. So at least people have a choice. So the government's actually sitting there saying, well, let's think about the consumer.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a good thing.
So a couple of companies responded. Obviously, AT&T and T-Mobile are upset about this, but companies like Sprint go, this is a good idea.
Well,
obviously.
Of course.
So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, but I think it's good to show that the government does seem to care. Because the thing was, AT&T was promising 5,000 new jobs because of this, but the government thinks it's more important to keep competition more free than, giving some jobs that may or may not actually exist.
I was going to say, that's part of what drives your economy, right? You want to have people buying, but you want to have more options for people to buy. You don't want to just have them limited to one product. So...
we'll give you more news on that and see if it does prevent the merger from happening.
Yeah.
So the last thing in Tech Insight today, if you were around beta testing the offline mode of Google Docs and Calendar and Gmail, you were probably pretty upset to see it disappear.
I was.
Yeah.
Because I liked that stuff.
But Google has come back and said, hey, we're giving it back to you.
Oh, good. Thanks, Google.
So now you can go and install the gears that you need in Chrome to be able to do this stuff offline.
Okay. That's
so, I'm not a big Gmail user. My Apple products, I mostly use my mail, and I don't use web apps a lot. But you use Gmail a lot, so, you think this can be something beneficial for you?
Yeah. I actually really like this idea because there's a lot of, everything I do gets forwarded into my Gmail accounts. So, if I have projects I got to work on for school, I like the fact that I can reach them offline, because it's all going to get forwarded. Like when I'm talking to my colleagues and classmates, everything's going to get forwarded into my Gmail, so it's going to be available as long as I make sure to sync. I used to use Outlook, and that was my favorite thing, was having local files for offline usage. Best idea ever in email. Not to mention Calendar, because, it's good to be able to sync a calendar once and then bite her off, and only make changes when you need to. So I think I would use this. I used it before. I think I would use it again.
So if you were one of the people that was upset to see it go, it's coming back. Check out Google's website to find out how you can reinstall that functionality.
It's actually right on their main blog, so check it out.
And that brings us to the end of Tech Insight for this week.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Behind the Lens for this week. Kicking it off, we got a new lens.
Yes, so Panasonic announced some new lenses last week, moments after we finished recording the show last week. So, as was speculated, we've got some pretty interesting technology from Panasonic, and that is this idea of a pancake zoom lens.
So when you say pancake, that's
That means it's nice and thin. So one of the most popular lenses for Panasonic's mirrorless cameras thus far has been their 20mm 1.7 because it's very sharp, it's very bright, it's nice and small.
Okay.
So it keeps the size of the camera down, which is really the whole point of these cameras. SLR performance in a much smaller package.
Okay.
But if you put something like a 14-42 lens up until now on there, you've been getting a lens that's about this big, which makes the whole camera much larger. And that's really been the downfall of most of these mirrorless, is that any kind of zoom lens tends to be a lot bigger than the camera can sometimes be, and then everything becomes ergonomically odd.
Then it just looks weird too.
Yes. So Panasonic felt that they needed to solve that problem, and I think they've done a really awesome job here because they have basically taken the technology of a point and shoot, which is you turn it on and the lens extends out and then focuses within it, and they've made that into a lens. So they now have this new 14-42 pancake lens. Now, what's interesting about it is it has power zoom, and it also has power focus, so you can manually focus it, but it's using a switch instead of dialing on the lens, which could be smoother if you're doing video work.
Okay.
And the power zoom is much nicer if you're doing video work because you can do a smooth, slow zoom in. Because it's hard to keep a consistent speed when you're moving the zoom yourself. Plus, you're moving the whole camera, whereas this is just a rocker switch on the side, which is really nice.
Yeah, that's actually kind of cool.
It's their new series of lenses that they're calling X lenses. So it's high grade. They're saying it's got new improved image stabilization in the lens. They're nanocrystal coated glass, which means that's going to help cut down on flaring and improve contrast in the photos. And they're saying optically it's sharper than any of the 14 to 40 series lenses that they made thus far.
So if you're J.J. Abrams, avoid this lens.
Well, J.J. Abrams creates his own flares, though. So, it's not any faster than the previous ones. It's a 3.5 to 5.6, and some people are complaining about that. But they don't realize that this is just basically filling the space issue that the first one had, because it's the same aperture as the first 14 to 42 lens was. They've just made it much smaller and then improved the optics and improved the zooming and that kind of stuff. So it's pretty cool.
What about price point?
Going to be $399, so it's about $100, $100 and a bit more than the normal lens is. In Canada anyways. But I think it's worth it if you want to keep your size down. And if you are doing video work, that power zoom and that power focus are going to be pretty cool.
Cameras are nowhere near anything that I know, but if I had something, I would probably want to stick with that because I want something that I can carry around that's light.
Yeah.
And we've been, of course, to the Henry show, and I'm fascinated by the lens technology. Just because they can either make them huge or tiny enough, but still functional. This is amazing to me.
It's pretty cool. Now they're also going to release some firmware updates for their cameras to help improve the functionality of this, which is going to give you the ability to step through your millimeters.
Okay.
So you'll click the button, it'll go 14, and then 24, and then 35, and then 40. And you'll also be able to have it remember what zoom you're at when you turn off and turn on the camera, so it'll go back to that zoom. And previously, when you did have a zoom lens with Panasonic, you never saw what millimeters on the screen of the lens you're zooming. So they're adding that so that you can see what zoom level you're at.
So you're not sitting there guessing, you know what you're doing.
And that dial is also controllable for fast zoom or slow zoom. So they're adding some of that functionality to the cameras. Now, what they also did on top of that 14 to 42 is they brought out a 45 to 175 with the same sort of design. It's a power zoom lens, although it doesn't really look like it because it still has the normal zoom ring on it. The zoom ring itself is a power zoom as opposed to actually physically pushing the lens out. It's just controlling the motor.
Going for the kind of manual look but with electronics.
Yeah, well, what's neat about this is that they already had a 45 to 200 lens, which is about a $400 lens, so it's around the same price point. But that lens is physically bigger than this guy is, with really no gain. So again, nanocrystal coating, new improved image stabilization. You've got all that stepping through the zoom ranges, and it's going to be lighter and smaller than the 45 to 200. So that's also going to be available for around $400 to $450. They're both supposed to be coming out in, I think, an October timeframe.
Okay.
The last thing that we saw, which isn't really official news, but it did kind of come from Panasonic, because they were at a Chinese camera show where this stuff was announced. And they had a presentation going and some prototypes of new pro-end lenses that they're going to be bringing out beginning next year. And that's a 12 to 35 and a 35 to 100, which, if we convert them to the full-frame sizes that professional photographers are typically used to dealing with, is a 24 to 70 and a 70 to 200, which are the two most common sizes professionals will buy in a range.
Like big ones?
Well, normally they'd be really big lenses. If you bought a 70 to 200 for an SLR, it'd be about this big. The 70-200 equivalent for Panasonic is about that big.
Okay.
But they're still going to be bright. They're going to be f2, maybe f2.8 lenses throughout, so they're letting a lot of light in, as well as having nanocrystal coating and the image stabilization and all that kind of stuff.
So what they're doing is trying to stick with this whole theme of we're going to try and give you the best lens possible in a smaller package.
Well, the thing is that I love my GH2, but I haven't sold my D300 because I need those kind of lenses to shoot professionally. Those are lenses I rely on to shoot a wedding, and I couldn't go to my GH2 to shoot a wedding because I didn't have the glass to support it. So Panasonic is finally saying, you know what, we realize that some people are using this for more than we expected it to be used for.
Okay.
So now they are creating these pro lenses, and so it's kind of speculation. It's prototypes right now. Nothing's for sure, but I'm excited to say the least.
I'd like to actually see it anyway, just because I'm interested in its mechanics.
Absolutely. The big thing for me is if I can get the same image quality and amount of light let in a lens that's a third of the size, that's what appeals to me for someone who has to lug a camera around all day for a wedding.
As I say, as professional, that would definitely be appealing.
Now, the Fujifilm X10 has been an incredibly popular camera.
It looks pretty.
We reviewed it. We had mixed opinions on it. It's still a great camera. It's got its quirks. But Fuji has decided that they're going to bring in a little brother for people who didn't feel like spending $1,300 on the X100. And that is the new X10. Now, it's important to know that it is not the same type of camera that the X100 is. It looks very similar. But this is really going after the pro point-and-shoot market.
There's actually a pro point-and-shoot market.
Yeah, things like the S95 and the G12 and the P7000 from Nikon have all been cameras that are around the $400 or $500 price point that are offering raw capability, larger sensors, better glass, and that's what this is going after. So they're using a 2/3-inch sensor, which is bigger than what we've seen in any of the point-and-shoots thus far, and they're keeping it at 12 megapixels. So it's actually going to be producing pretty good quality. It's a CMOS sensor, so they're boasting low light.
Okay.
Now, what's different about this in comparison to the X100 is it's a 4 times optical zoom.
Okay.
So the X100 had a fixed 35mm equivalent lens.
I was going to say, so is this lens still, is it not interchangeable?
It's not interchangeable like the X100.
Okay.
So both of them didn't have interchangeable lenses, but this one has a bit of zoom range to it, which is nice.
Okay.
It's a 2:2.8, so it's still fairly bright for the amount of light that it's letting in. Shoots full high definition video, and it's really gorgeous looking. It's using a manual zoom. It's got a nice big viewfinder. There's no official pricing yet, but the expected price is somewhere in the $500 to $600 range, which would be what I expect for this, because you are looking at a camera that will outperform something like the G12, which costs $500 right now.
Kind of makes sense. I mean, you're looking at something like they're making it the little brother, so half price would probably be a...
But, I mean, if you are
logical
looking
step.
for a high-end point-and-shoot and didn't want to drop the cash on the X100, this is a really awesome alternative.
And it still looks really pretty. It'd be nice and retro on that, so...
And finally, moving on to some Samsung announcements this week. First off, the new WB750, which is an 18 times optical zoom, which isn't any more than their previous generation, but they're working on a new proprietary 12.5 megapixel sensor on this guy. It's a CMOS sensor, so that's not something we see in some of the larger zoom cameras, so that's hopefully going to improve low light capability. What's neat about it is it will shoot 10 frames per second at 12 megapixels, as well as recording full HD video.
Huh.
And it's really sharp looking.
Yeah, it actually looks kind of comfortable. Really.
Yeah, the grip looks really nice. I think it's a really there a lot of these cameras are going for that more rugged look to them, which I think suits it. They're looking a little less plasticky and a little bit more Italian sports car.
Yeah, well, actually, I think that's plasticky. But either way.
Well, yes.
Like, it's like most point and shoots, you kind of look at it and you baby it because you're afraid to kill it. And then if you have an SLR, you're babying it even more.
Because it's more expensive.
Exactly. But these ones are starting to look like, oh yeah, whoosh, oops, I dropped it. Hey, it's fine. Like, it's looking, like you said, more rugged.
Absolutely. In conjunction with the WB750, they've also come out with the MV800. Now, Samsung was the company that pioneered having an LCD screen on the front of the camera to be able to see what you're doing. If you're doing group shots, MySpace, if you wanted the kids, you could play little videos on it to get kids' attention, stuff like that. They've decided that they just couldn't put a big enough screen in it, so they're just going to have a screen that flips entirely over top the camera. So there's now a 3-inch touchscreen that will flip completely upright so that you can see it when you're taking pictures, I guess.
My one comment is it looks like it obstructs the button.
Yeah, but I think it's, well, I don't know. They've probably thought it out. It's a touchscreen, so you just tap on the button when you want to take a picture.
I guess that's true,
And then you're going to have this picture where you're...
Oops!
16 megapixel sensor, 5 times optical zoom, touchscreen. Nothing really special about it except Samsung likes to do crazy things with their LCD technology, so...
You know what? I think there's going to be a lot of people who, once again, will be intrigued.
Absolutely. And to close out the segment, we're looking at Samsung's new NX200. So this is their new offering in their mirrorless lineup.
Okay.
They're going more towards what Panasonic and Olympus are doing right now, which is a small camera. Their NX11 has a viewfinder. This one does not, but it's really small, aluminum body. And what's special about this is, outside of the new NEX7, which is 24 megapixels. This is actually the highest megapixels we've seen with 20 megapixels on a mirrorless camera until the NEX7 actually makes it on the shelf.
Okay.
So really high resolution sensor on this guy, as well as being able to shoot at 7 frames per second, which is definitely no slouch at 20 megapixels.
I was gonna say
and
that's a big
recording
range.
full 1080p video as well. It's a pretty stylish looking camera.
Yeah, and like this is going to function as like an SLR, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I mean,
it has like that form factor once again that we were saying is like of a point and shoot. So slim, small, easy to pocket, minus the lens. But it's pretty nice looking.
it is, yeah. Although my problem with Samsung is that because they are using an APS-C size sensor, which is bigger than what Olympus and Panasonic uses, it means their lenses also have to be bigger. So
It looks
the
pretty.
lenses are larger on Samsung, which does make it, again, that awkward space of... And Sony has the same problem where it's like, here's a zoom lens. Well, that's as big as it was on an SLR, so I still have to carry around an SLR-sized lens. I just have a much smaller body, which really isn't the problem. So, I mean, I think it's a cool-looking camera. If you're someone who's invested in the Samsung mirrorless system, I think this might be a good thing to add to your collection. If you're not, I think it is a pretty nice-looking camera.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll be able to review it on the show when it does come out. So, it's a pretty cool-looking camera. And that brings us to the end of Behind the Lens for this week. And that brings us to the end of the show this week. As per usual, if you want to get a hold of us, you can reach us at contact@almostfridayshow.com.
Or if you want to reach us quickly on the Twitters, it's at @almost_Friday.
So until next week, if you feel like we've told you way too much information in the span of time that we gave you, just let us know, and I guess we'll try and tell you less.
My brain kind of hurts a little.
My brain always hurts. This business has too many numbers involved. Stay away from numbers?